Alright, today we're going to go and help a fella out that bought some rocky parts off me. He's having issues. There's a bolt you're not supposed to pull out of a 5-speed Daihatsu gearbox. You pull that out, it's the pivot point for the selector for 5th gear. You pull that out, you lose 5th gear. That fork falls into the bottom of the box, it's box out, lid off the box to repair it. So he's pulling the box out to do a clutch anyway, so he's asked if I can give him a hand. The last time I spoke to him, I believe he had the gearbox nearly all the way out, but he just, for some reason, wouldn't slide back any further. So we'll work that out. But I figured, seeing as he's a Daihatsu dude, I'd bring a Daihatsu to go work on his stuff. This is Dai, my brother's 1984 F65, aptly named Dai because when we got it, the diesel sticker was peeled off it and it said Dai, and because it really likes dying. This is on its 3rd engine and 2nd clutch. I changed the front diff when we got it because it was rooted and it blew the rear tail shaft out of it. So, and the fuel gauge just doesn't want to work. The sender was broken, so I put a new Sarge's tank and sender in it. And now the gauge doesn't work properly, so it's just randomly, it either reads right or wrong. So yeah, Dai, this is it. 2-inch lift, rocky springs all around, and 35s. It looks pretty beaten up. It was a sidecar for Mayfield Gardens down in Oberon. It was registered as primary producer from 84 till 94, I believe, 93, 94. And then it was just used as an unregistered site vehicle. It's got a yellow door on it. That's off leftovers, my truck, because this was at my house, because my brother lived with me for a little bit while he was doing some site work. I swapped this to him for my patrol wagon. He originally owned the wagon, didn't like it, and I was going to buy it off him. He found this and said, buy that, get it registered and on the road, and I'll straight swap you. So that's what we did. So I had to put a lot of my spare parts into it to get it going. It had been parked for quite a while. The rats got into the wiring harness, so I've had to do a whole wiring harness replacement. I have a spare. But she's just an honest old work truck. He's using it as his site rig at the moment. That's why it sort of looks like hammered shit in here. But yeah, it does the job. And then it's 2.5 inch with a resonator and then a stack. It's a ute. He wanted a stack, so I've got a stack. See if I can pop you in underneath the bonnet here. Where are you? There we go. So, this is not a scat motor. That's a rocky motor. So, my brother's got a really bad habit of when he does an oil change, he leaves the bung out of the sump. So the original motor to this, he left the bung out of the sump, run it with no oil in it. Then worked out his issue, put it in it, and then it lasted about a week or 2 weeks and it picked up a bearing, miraculously while I was driving it. But whatever. So I caught a bearing. So I had a motor out of Percy, which was a scat motor. Actually, this front diff's out of Percy. We put it in it because it's fully rebuilt. Put Percy's motor in it. Daihatsus, they run an EDIC motor, or Scats, they run an EDIC motor, which is hooked in line to the oil pressure sender. So if you lose oil pressure, it turns the motor off. Daihatsus are very hard on oil pressure senders because the oil pressure sender is screwed directly into the oil pump. So the oil pressure sender fails all the time. I used to keep 2 or 3 in the glove box. It's a 24mm spanner. I'd swap it out on the side of the road. It's just what they do. Well, you can get around that fact if the oil pressure sender's failed. If you just unplug it, it won't turn the motor off. It just never reads oil pressure. So he's driven it for about 6 months with the oil pressure sender unplugged. The oil pressure sender ended up failing so bad it blew the end out of it and pumped all the oil all over the ground. So that one picked up a cam. So it killed the cam and a cam bucket. So they're the 2 motors that I'm building at my house. They both were in this car and both died in this car. That motor we picked up with a whole bunch of rocky parts for like $600. It was the only diesel we could find in the area. So we went with a rocky motor. There was a bit of wiring change we had to do because this runs a rotary injector pump, and not an inline. So it doesn't have an EDIC motor, it has a fuel cut-off center line, much like any other diesel that currently operates. So a bit of wiring changes, got that sorted. It's been in it, it's a really good motor. It's only got 100,000 odd Ks on it. I did sink it and put some water in it, but I had to pull the glow plugs out and pump it out, but hey, it's fine. It's still living, that's okay. So this one seems to be working pretty good. Anyway, I'm about 20 minutes away from old Bud's house. So we'll get there, we'll get the box out, throw the clutch at it, and then I'll show you what he did wrong. Yeah, if you are going to put oil in a Daihatsu gearbox and transfer case, you'll notice all the drain and fill bungs are on the driver's side. This pivot bolt is on the passenger, and it has a tamper-proof seal around it that you have to chisel off. For some reason, many people do that and then pull it out thinking it's the fill bung. There's a whole forum page on it. I pulled the wrong bolt out and now I don't have fifth gear. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's gearbox out, but he needed a clutch anyway. So, yeah, we'll get there, we'll pull the lid off it, I'll put the selector back in it. Hopefully, he's learned his lesson. Maybe don't pull the wrong bolt out. It's got like a 70mm long shaft on it. Like, it takes forever to pull out. And it's got a really fine thread. I don't know, whatever. Heaps of people do it. I have never. And like, my whole family's been around Daihatsus forever. My first car was a Daihatsu. And we've never done it. So, I don't know how it's such a big thing. But that's alright. I figured I'd show you Dai. I thought this might be video worthy. I've got some other little bits and pieces I'll sprinkle in there. I went for a fishing trip there the other weekend and the boss is ute. Don't tell him. Done a bit of beach bombing. I was supposed to take this, but I had to work the following Monday, so I just drove straight from the beach to where I needed to work, so I just took the work ute. Anyway, we'll get to old Bud's house. He's got a really rad little yellow Rocky, same colour as the one I'd wrecked out, so he pulled everything off that, which was great because I was just going to scrap it. Anyway, we'll hit the road. We're going to put some Daihatsu back in the Daihatsu. Righto, that is a Rocky 5-speed box with the lid off. And this is a 5th gear selector. It is broken, but we'll repair that. It sits, I don't know if you can see there, it sits on that pin there. I'm going to get my big hand out of the way. There we go. And then that contacts it to give you 5th gear. When you pull this bolt out of the side, that pin falls out, that falls into the bottom of the box. So this has fallen out and unfortunately got chewed up by the gears a little bit. So we're going to weld repair it. You can see a few bite marks on it. The rest of it's okay. Took us about an hour to fish it out of the bottom of the box, which is mildly annoying. But putting the old work Hilux to work. Up the tea gardens. My mate is 200. He's going fishing, I'm going drinking. Fucking nice spot. Haven't been on sand since Fraser Island. Righto. So, today's task for the long weekend, or part of the long weekend, if I get it. We'll see how work goes. Today's Friday. I might have something to do Saturday. Probably will. But that still leaves me with 2.5 days. We're going to paint sarge. As you can see, I started stripping it down. Doors over there, guards off. There, got to go to the workshop to get sprayed. I'm going to leave the apron on. All the painted stuff's over there. So yeah, I've got to get the tray off. I've already got the cab pretty much ready to roll. I'm not going to spray the inside, I'll just do the outside. And so yeah, she's going to a little workshop. Put her in the blast bait, and might be easy to just sandblast all that surface rust off it and sand it. But all the rust repairs are done on it. There's a little pinhole I might just plug up and buff off just in the top of the apron. I'll show you in the video here in a second. We'll plug that up, but yeah, all the cab's done, so she's ready for a spray job. Got all the roof gutters, I had to replace all that. Skin was off, it's back on. I done that dent, so I'm going to leave it. History, first wheeling trip out, put it into a tree. But yeah, all the cab corners are done. So yeah. So, tray off. I've got to empty the tray. Find somewhere to put all of this shit. There's spare wheel arches for the tub, because I'm thinking if I want to run low height 35s, these might be a bit small, so they're out of an F25 or F20, so I might be able to use them to cut and section these if I need to stretch them. There's stuff at 35 in there. Probably won't happen, but I was throwing the car out, then a couple of spare tyre mounts. That's a fuel tank Jimmy gave me. It was full of fucking off E85. steering arms for sarge because one's bent, springs out of the F10 because I don't know why, and then that's the whole handbrake setup out of that rocky part of it. Mainly for the lever itself because the button and everything's still good on it. Whatever, and then spare set of inner guards out of a early 20 same car that those tub guards come out of. So I'll get all that shit off and somewhere. Then we'll unbolt this temporary tray. It's only held on by fucking 6 mounts. That's a factory scat rear bumper flipped upside down. That's just bolted up into the tray mount. So I'll just undo that. And then yeah. Because I need to get it off because there's a bunch of... So the cab was originally blue. The Surfy Dude, I got it off. High filled it without etch primer. As you can see, the paint just falls off. And then just laid this green house paint on it. So it's going back to the same colour green. As you can see, the bonnet and everything's painted in that. But I've got to get down there and strip all that shit off. Get it back down to bare metal. So I've got the etch primer here. It's a Dulux colour. It's olive drab, but I've got it mixed in a white night enamel, like thinner based enamel, because the Dulux stuff's water based. And I've done some test patches with some water based Dulux in the shed, and it didn't hold up with the sun, and that it started fading, and then lots of rain cycles it started melting off. So we went with a, yeah, well, I guess it's a lacquer thinner based enamel, but it's a Dulux colour to give me the olive green colour it was. But yeah, I've got to strip all the doors, glass out, lock bodies out. That's the snorkel guard, and then that's another aircon like front vent, because the one that was in this had a really shitly glued on like knee board to act as the seal. I went to peel that off and it just turned to shit. It wasn't fucking worth my time trying to get all the glue off it when I've got like 3 of those flaps. That's actually out of my dad's truck, which is, funnily enough, where the whole lower section of this window come out. I've sectioned this from there down, so that's out of like an 82 Daihatsu F55, so I changed the whole bottom section of that window. That's why it's half an etch primer. You can see I drilled a bit too deep there and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be funny that it's flaps out of the same window patch panel. Hey, that's alright. We're running out of daylight here, so I'll go set the tripod up and do a bit of time lapsing. Let me pull on the tray off, and it's probably going to be boring as shit, but whatever. Content, boys, content. That's the deal. Anyway, I'll show you this rust hole on the top of the apron that I'm probably going to weld up. And we'll get her on the truck and to the workshop tomorrow morning. I've got a fucking trailer over there with 2 diesel engines in it I've got to move, which is going to suck. But first things first, get sarge strip ready to roll, because it runs like a fucking top. As you would have seen on the previous video, I'd be revving the fuck out of it, but that's alright. I didn't really want to spray it on the 33s, but I'll just cover them up. Enamel gets fucking everywhere, so what do you do? But yeah, righto, tray off. Okay, I don't know if you see, but there's still a few little pinholes. That's a whole replacement panel, like all the way down to fucking here basically, and that's new there, and so is this. Most of that on the top's been replaced and repaired, and the corner here's been repaired. So I'm guessing that was thin, and over the time of it sitting in my backyard, because it's been coming on 9 years since this has been on the road, since I pulled it off the road to do some quick rust repairs, that turned out to be long rust repairs. There's a lot of live stuff in the middle there that sort of held me up a little bit, but whatever. So yeah, I'll buff the paint off of that. I'll zap those holes up, and but that'll be a tomorrow morning job. And then yeah, this fucking trailer to move. Jesus Christ, who would have thought 2 scat diesel motors would be so fucking heavy? But whatever, that's right. Anyway, onward and upwards. Let's get this tray off. day 2, officially Saturday. Turns out I didn't have to go and do a bit of work. So we're flying straight into Sarge. It is 9 o'clock at the moment. I've already been out here playing around. Started decking the paint down off here so I can have a bit of a play with those holes, pinholes that have come up. You can just start to see how many layers of paint, like Blues Original, then undercoat high fill, undercoat green, and then many layers of green. This guy just loved house paint. Just slapped her on with a brush. Anyway, man, like it just flakes off. So a lot of this truck's going to get blasted, I'm thinking. Mainly like in around the detail here, like that's supposed to be an indent. Same here around the bonnet hinges. That's supposed to be like sunken. And here they're flat. It's all paint. There's a little bit of, but like you can see where the hinge sits and then it comes forward a bit. But yeah, that's, so, I don't know. I'll have a think. I'll either hit that with a wire brush, but then I don't want to fish mouth them holes with a wire brush real hard. I can't really get a sander in there very well. That isn't going to be super aggressive and take the definition out of it. Sandblast might be the easiest fucking way to do it. Anyway, check this out. Like, can you sort of see the thickness difference there? Like the metal's all the way back here. There's like 2 millimeters of paint on this thing. So, yeah. Look at all this flaky stuff under here where I welded the roof skin back on, and I've got to be delicate around here because where I've joined the lower section on now, I've done this quite a few years ago. I did have to blend a bit of bog in there, so I won't be able to sandblast there, so that's why I've hit that all with a sander and got it back down to bare metal, same on the other side. Right, so when I pieced this lower section on, because this one didn't have it, it was quite a few years ago, it was made out of like paint and duct tape. I was in a bit of a rush because it was my daily driver, and my welding capabilities wasn't as good as it was back then, so I've noticed a couple of things. I've had to put a bit of bog in both joints, so the section through here, you can sort of see it just there. So I can't sandblast there, so I've just decked that down with the DA, get it, you know, back down to bare metal. Same on the other side. But while I was sanding this, it was vibrating. So I did something wrong, or something's failed over the years of it being moved and flexed and twisted around on car trailers and whatnot. It's been at like 3 different houses so far. This flange here is spot welded down to this plate here, which is the lower section of the windscreen now. That's 3mm sheet. I've notched it in and out around the vents for the window mists. That's all welded in. That's great. So then I ported holes through that flange and plug welded it down and then flapped it off flush. But I'm sanding across here and it's vibrating. I don't know if you can see this. Some of them spot welds are failed. So what I thought was going to be a quick plug 3 holes, get it on the back of the truck and send it to the workshop and paint it, is now I'm going to have to drill probably 10 holes in the face of this, re-plug weld it down, and then flap them off flat. But that's okay, we've got 3 days. 3 days, and we're starting early today because I didn't have to go to work. So we're good. Yeah. So just little things, I guess. That was probably connected 8 years ago. Well, it must have been because I left it, well, was it? I don't know. It's been a long time. Anyway, so I'll go and dig out my spot weld drill, plug some holes in this, fire the welder up, weld that back down, weld the 3 little holes in the top of the apron there. Yeah, then get the vac out and vac all of the spider webs out of here. I've still got a bit of cleanup to do in here. I'll do that like now, where I've plug welded the roof skin on. Just get the welds pushed through. Buff all that off because I don't want to do that after it's painted because it'll probably pickle the paint. So buff all that off. Fix those welds. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of work to do at the house before we put it on. Go and get the truck, put it on the truck, and send it to the workshop so we can blast, etch prime, and then splash this thing with a generous coating of Dulux olive drab, and Sarge will be back finally. Anyway, it's in one of these things. Shed's a fucking mess because I haven't had a time to do anything. That's actually the battery that had Sarge. I figured to give you, oh, check these out. I don't know if you fellas following me on Insta, but I got drunk one night and then bought like a lot of vintage Daihatsu filters. I have no idea. I can vaguely remember thinking I was going to set up like a display and like put some of me put the filters on the shelf, and then put some of the photos and what have you I've got up, and some of the badges I've collected, because there's Percy's grill, and then that's a Rosa grill, I think, out of my brother's Rosa, and then that's a spare front end, and I've actually got Sarge's bonnet all the way over there. So it'd be nice to, I was thinking of like mount the Sarge's bonnet, because it's got a big start. Actually, I'll open the door, show you, come up fucking mad. I was thinking of mounting it like vertical to the roof, and then having like a halo of LED lights around it. That'd be pretty rad, and that can be my editing and Daihatsu room. I don't know, but they were a steal, so I bought them, and they don't fit any of the cars I have, so whatever. Anyway, spot weld drills in here, I think. That's spanners. What's this one? No, not that one. Electrical, so it's this one. That. That's it. Right up. Let's go drill some more holes in this fucking car. I thought I was done with this. Right, there's all my holes drilled in it. Oh, I still got to do one there. Guess I forgot. Anyway, you can sort of see fucking how much flex we got now. So yeah, all those ones just didn't connect, I'm guessing, and it's come up actually a fair bit. I don't know if you can sort of see that gap there. Yeah, so I'll have to push that down and then weld her out. Anyway, I'll go get the air compressor and I'll get in there and I'll blow all the shit out from underneath it, and then we'll wheel old fucking Unimig over and fill it full of zaps. Oh yeah, there's Sarge's OJ bonnet. So Sarge was originally a round nose like this. Had the longer front end on it, and I'd done the 78 conversion a long time ago. So that's just been sitting down the side of my parents' house for a GZ. I believe I cut that template out of cardboard, masked it up and sprayed it on. Same for the two doors as well. Yeah. So I'm pondering maybe using that as like an art installation in a room. That'll be fucking probably years down the track and it'll never happen, but I don't know. Seems like a good idea, I guess. Anyway. Sounded pretty solid. Starting to run out of reach though. Can't understand why the green paint didn't stick. And it started rusting. Yeah, that's been the biggest hold up for this truck is the paint, because I knew it was going to be such a pain because it was just incorrectly prepped in the first place. So it's basically got to go back down to bare metal. So I was just dreading it the whole time, but that's all right. We'll get through it. Anyway, up here's all cleaned up. All the lumps are buffed off. Can't really see it, and all here's done. So yeah, that's all sealed up again, all solid, can't flex it. No drum. Roof's all on there nice and solid. There's me dent. Just trick the relay for a minute. Sparks come out. Probably starts pretty easy. About that much, I reckon. Start motor's a bit dicky too. Come on then. Come on. Okay, this isn't going well. Finally, holy, that was probably the hardest it's ever fucking had a hard time starting. Anyway, I cranked it so long, it fucking melted the battery terminal. So I had to like reach it with the jump pack to get it to start. Anyway. Fucking hell. Oh, God. Yeah, what a pain. Anyway, starter motor's always been a bit dicky. The Hilux one uses a weird contact setup, which always fucking fails. I've got another one in there, it's never changed it. Another thing to add to the list. Well, it's always been on the list, but whatever. Anyway, it's running now, so that's good. I'll move the jump pack, put the battery lid on it, get all that shit off of there, and we'll try and move this thing out of the way so I can move that trailer. Yeah. There's fucking big old croc sliders dug in my backyard. If you want to know, there's stormwater right there, and there's a creek on the other side of that fence. So the backyard's, any drop of rain, it's wet for like 2 weeks. And if you're wondering why it's not in 4-wheel drive, it doesn't have a front shaft in it because the front diff is missing the pinion flange. So it's 2-wheel drive only, an open diff, and as you can see, I was hitting seconds and trying to brake bounce it, which is super bad for the diff and the clutch, but you do what you can. Anyway, I'll see if I can pull this thing around by hand. It's got like fucking a ton of shit in the back, literally a ton. It's like 350 kilos each engine and then 2 gearboxes and transfer cases. So I really just hope that it just hook on and then I just go around the corner, disconnect, back sarge up, bang, out the gate, go and get the truck. I guess not. Righto, feels like it's taken all bloody day. I think it's 2 o'clock or something. Went to the workshop, the battery was flat on the truck, so jumped it. But yeah, we've got sarge strapped on to the back. Workshop time. Finally. I'm never going to get this thing painted. Anyway, catch you there. You're probably wondering why I'm standing on the safety step sanding the roof when I said I was going to come down here and whip blast the ute. The ute's pretty delicate. I've had the roof skin off previously and I had it sandblasted, and then it took me months to correct the mess they made of that roof skin. It was warped 3 different ways, so there's a lot of radiuses and everything in it. It's still not even 100%, but it's good enough for Sarge, he'll be right. But it was an absolute mess. So I do not want to touch the roof with a sandblaster at all. So I'm going to DA the whole roof off, back to bare metal because it's a bit more gentle. Then the lower section of the windscreen, obviously I already did that at home. It's covered in oil at the moment because I'm guessing my turbo's blown from sitting for multiple years, but whatever. So yeah, the windscreen and the deck, where the bonnet bolts do, they're going to be DA'd off by hand, which they already are. and the roof skin, and then the rest, half the top half of the windscreen, that's all going to be blasted. So I'll keep sanding. It's a lot of roof skin. And hopefully tomorrow when I catch up with yous, it'll be in the shed, just over there, or in the blast bay I should say, ready for a whip blast, prime and paint. Anyway, I'll get back into this. I've got hours of sanding to do now, but that's the fucking job, I guess. Couldn't help myself. Oh yeah, not bad. Julies. They're only on like 10 pounds, but no weight in the back, so they're not even bagging. That's fine. Anyway, day 2 in the blast bay. Get the roof all sorted out. It's all just sanded off, ready to roll. So I'll throw on that air-fed helmet there. We'll charge that with air. Unroll this big thing off the wall and start a whipping. I'll see if I can set the phone up or the tripod. Probably not the tripod, that's an expensive camera. Yeah, my phone up somewhere so you can get a bit of blasting, but it gets dusty as a son bitch in here. There is a big bag house on the other side of that with 2 fans. The fan drives are over there to pull the dust out, but it's sandblasted. It's going to be fucking dusty. So we'll see what we can do, see how much I can film. Yeah, we'll get into it. Okay, there we go, blasted up, taped up. Probably the shittiest fucking tape job I've done, but it'll keep the paint roughly out of the inside of it. Not like it's going to hurt anything. So, go mix some primer and wheel the old airline in here. Give it a wipe down, blow off and fucking feed her. Righto, that's the primer done. Put fuckloads on it. I put about 2.5 litres of primer on it, which is probably way too much, but I mean, it was rusty once upon a time, so I put fucking shitloads of primer on it. But it's not too bad. A few little bits and bobs just there. Picked up some shit. And a couple little runs in the back wall, but once the tub's on that, you won't fucking see it, so I don't care. Yeah, we'll wait for it to fucking dry now, and start blowing some fucking green on it. Yeah, should be good. Should be good. Don't worry about that little pock mark there. That's it is sealed. I probably could have welded it up, but whatever. It's just a bush truck. You've got to remember, it's just a bush truck. That's okay. It's a registered bush truck, but yeah, it's a bush truck. Anyway, but it's looking pretty rad. I'm fairly happy with it. I mean, when it comes to painters, I make a pretty good fucking grave digger, so it's about as good as you're going to get out of me. But looks okay. It's all grey, so that's what I wanted. Anyway, we'll fucking let this do its thing. I'll get this thing off. Might go and get a feed because my stomach is trying to eat my arsehole right now. And hopefully this will be ready to blow a bit of fucking colour on it. Yes, I should scuff it. I don't think I'm going to fucking bother. I didn't scuff the bonnet or the other guard and it's still stuck and it looks pretty good. So I might just fucking straight up send her home with fucking olive drab. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to go and get some food. Alrighty, that's the first coat on. Starting to go green. So, jam a wee bit more. That's about 500 mils of paint on it already. Turn the dust extractors on, suck these fumes out. Go and wash the gun out, chill out for a minute. Mix a bit more up and go and blow a bit more so you can need a bit more on the back wall there. But she's going. That's why I picked olive blend. It's almost Daihatsu green, just a little darker, and it was roughly the colour that it already was, so it'll sort of match the inside. But right, go and stick this thing back in the gun holder. Righto, let's start peeling the tape off this thing. Looking good. I think it looks pretty good. Looks green. That's all we need to do. Leave it set overnight and we'll come and get him in the morning. And it should be good. The paint job's done. I thought that over there was some discoloration, but it's just sunlight. I was a little bit fucking mildly annoyed, but that is going to be like where the tub sits, like the headboard's there, I think, from memory. I don't know, it's been a while since the tub's been on this thing. Anyway, come up pretty good. While it was sitting dry and it's picked up a run in that dint there, that's nothing major. I mean, I could scuff it out, but I'm not going to bother. There's a little bit of a funny discoloration just there and there, but that's all right. Everything else looks pretty good. Flat army green. Or satin. Whatever the fuck they call it. And it pulled a couple of runs up just there, but again, that's going to be covered by the tub, so. I probably should have brought the stack, because this thing's probably going to blow black shit all over the back of the cab, and it's dry, but it just doesn't feel quite dry. That's why I want to get it home and get it in the sun. Get it to dry properly. Anyway, we'll try and wake this cranky old bastard up and we'll see what it wants to fucking do. I might see if there's a 2.5 inch 90 in the shop. I might be able to just tape to the top of that so it blows it out the back, just out that way. Just so it doesn't, I don't want it to stain the paintwork with all the diesel soot that's going to blow out. Anyway, we'll go and have a dig around, see what I can find, and then we'll... Righto. So we've got Sarge home. It's pretty late in the day now because I've been dicking around. Negative cable failed on it, so I've just replaced it. But now the battery's flat, so I'm waiting on the battery to charge. But bam! Pretty good. Pretty much the same colour. This has still got a bit of sheen on it because it's still a little bit not 100% dry. That'll sheen off, and then it'll be pretty much bang on the exact same colour, I think. Yeah, because like obviously I painted these months ago, so sitting out in the sun dulled them off, which is exactly what I want. I want more of a flat finish than a satin, but you can't get flat enamel from Bunnings, so satin it is, and let nature do the rest. Kind of pretty good. Obviously that's going to be like a fillet of Sikaflex through there, because that's really difficult to weld along there. That was the plan anyway, just like they've normally got like a seam sealer in there anyway, and then like a rubber seal that sort of makes it look pretty, and I'll just spatch that off with Sikaboy, pipe it in there, and that'll be good. But no, it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with it. It's blasting it definitely picked up a couple of little things that I've had to fix while it was in the blast bay, and then this happened. Fucking, I don't know if you can, I'll get out of the sunlight. You see that discoloration there in that run. If I cared, I'd probably buff it out, but I'm not gonna. So fuck it. And then yeah, a couple of little spots here and there. The paint is still, it's like it's touch dry, but you can sort of feel it's a bit doughy underneath. I did punch a fuckload of paint on it, so that's why I wanted to get it home so I can sit out in the sun, because we've got sun booked for the next like week in Bathurst. So yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that there. I'll start putting all the accoutrement back into it, like the wiper blades and all that. And now I've got to get a window because I smashed the one that was in it. It had a pretty big stone chip in it anyway, so who cares. And then I've got to get a windscreen rubber, and I've still got to blast the doors and the driver's side guard and paint them, and obviously the apron. To get the apron off, I've pretty much got to pull the bar off, because all the way down the bottom there, behind the winch, there's 3 bolt holes that pin the apron to the radiator support, and I can't reach them because they're right above the front cross member. So bar off to pull the apron, and then while I'm there I could potentially blast and paint the top of the radiator support there so it all matches. I don't really care about the firewall being creamy white, even though the truck was blue. Strange, whatever. But yeah, I could do the top of that. So yeah, a few more things, and then it'll be scissors paper rock on whether I want a historic rego or full rego. I've got enough fucking cars, so I don't particularly need every one of them full regoed. So I could do that and the 10 historic rego, maybe the Fairlane too. But I do drive the fucking wheels off that thing, so Fairlane will probably stay on full reg. And then hopefully once work quietens down, I can fuck that back off. That's the company car. I can just piss it off down the workshop. And then I can just drive all my own shit. How good would it be? All of these cars and I don't drive fucking any of them. Anyway, I digress. Right, so that's Sarge basically done. We'll probably film a bit more stuff later on, maybe the next episode, maybe not, depends on timing. On me putting the rest of it back together. I'll have to order the door seals. They come from Malaysia. They're already pre-cut, ready to go. They actually contact cement onto the door, so you can't just readily, easily available buy them off the shelf. So Malaysia, they're like 150 bucks I think, and I'll get them to throw in a windscreen seal too, because the one that was in this was fucked. I still got to do the hinges obviously, bonnet and door hinges. I might cheat that and just dip them, just open up the tin of paint and dip them and let them dry. And yeah, nearly there. This was the big hold up on the whole truck, was getting the cab painted. I've been waiting possibly about 2 years for decent weather to actually paint it. Oh, there's fucking bug stuck to it. Fucking hell. Jesus Louise. Fucking hell. Fresh paint. Bug stuck in it already. Whatever. Yeah, I've been waiting about 2 years for decent weather to actually paint this, and enough time to paint it, and sometimes you just got to make your own weather. It's handy having a workshop with a blast bay. Just do it all in there. Anyway, you guys have fun. Catch you on the next one. Remember, keep the rubber side down, and have a good one.